guys don't know you like I do. They think they were able to fill you with despair. But it's gonna take more than this to make you give up. They don't know the kinds of hopeless situations you've overcome in the past. Show them, Ichigo. Show them that despair, no matter how deep, will never be enough to stop you.
Concentrate, Ichigo. Don't let him get into your head.
Captain Komamura.
He's a master at undermining your confidence. If you let him do that, he'll destroy you for sure. You mustn't let your guard down. Keep your mind clear.
I was able to grasp my power because you fought me at full strength, Gantenbai. Thank you. Because of you, I will survive all of the battles that are in my future.
Any betrayal you can see is trivial. What is truly frightening, and much more lethal, is the betrayal you cannot see.
Lord Aizen fears nothing. That's why we bow before him. For creatures like us, born from fear, a man afraid of nothing shines like the moon against the blackness of night. Everything is illuminated, everything is focused, and ultimately, everything makes sense.
If you get hurt, then I'll help you. If you can't fight, then I'll fight in your place. If you're in pain, then I'll help you to deal with your pain. After all, we're friends, right?
Aizen said without hate in your heart, you would never be able to defeat him. But the fact of the matter is, we know that statement's not true. Even without hatred, you've won countless battles, and you've protected countless numbers of people. You need to know that your desire to protect people is enough to do the job. For you, it's a stronger emotion than hatred. You just have to focus on that. The positive will outweigh the negative, and that will be enough to reach Aizen. And when I say reach him, what I mean is, it won't be your blade, but your soul.
What's important is not how you should be, but rather how you want to be.
Captain Tosin, I'm just too afraid to do battle.
You're afraid of battle, are you? That's exactly why you should remain an officer. The most important asset for a warrior is not power. No, it is a heart that fears conflict.
A heart that fears?
That's right. Even I fear entering a battle.
You, Captain Tosin?
I cannot see. How could I not be afraid to fight? Gripping my sword, even taking a step forward like this, it's incredibly terrifying. Fear gives you the courage to raise your sword. It gives you the strength and will to fight for others, for those who also fear battle. Those who are unafraid to hold their swords in battle don't have the right to hold them at all. Shuhei, if you are truly afraid of fighting, then you have already gained something invaluable to a warrior.
I mean, it's true that I really don't have enough power to help us win against
It's not okay! Haven't you fought by our side all along up until now? Aren't you furious at him for casting you aside so easily like that?
No, I'm not mad.
Stop lying to me like that!
I'm not lying, really! I feel lonely, but not mad. Being lonely isn't nearly as bad as being in the way. But if I'm only going to be a burden to Mr. Urahara and everyone else, then maybe it's better to just be lonely instead.
Orihime, listen. In a battle, the ones who get in the way are not the ones that lack power. They're the ones that lack resolve.
Swinging a sword out of hatred is nothing more than mindless violence. There is no honor in such behavior.
The phrase survival of the fittest is a huge lie. It allows the weak to believe that if they work hard enough, they will stop being the hunted. But they don't get killed because they're weak. They get killed because they're in the minority. Skills alone don't matter, because it's always the loud, incompetent majority who become the predators. You and everyone else know this to be the truth, but you choose to ignore it. When we were separate, each of us was prey for the hunters.
I used to believe that battle was something you trained for constantly and went into fully prepared. But today, our battle was quite different. For the first time, I experienced the ecstasy of being in that moment between life and death. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed this battle.
What's the difference between a king and his horse? What the hell are you saying? And I'm not talking about obvious stuff, like one's an animal and one's a person, or one has 2 legs and one has 4. Form, ability, and power. That's what's puzzling. If their form, ability, and power are exactly the same, why is it that one becomes the king and leads them into battle, while the other becomes the horse and carries the king? So what's the characteristic that distinguishes distinguishes these two beings? There's only one answer. Instinct! In order for identical beings to get stronger and gain power, they need to develop a killer instinct. And that instinct is mostly forged in battle. They must develop an insatiable hunger to engage in battle. They must live to mercilessly crush, shred, and slice their enemies. This thirst for power is not an unnatural desire. In fact, it forms the very essence of our being. Deep within our body lies the honed instinct to dominate and slaughter our enemies. My friend, you don't have that. You use your brain to try and win a fight. You attempt to defeat your enemies with reason and logic. You don't tap into those pure base instincts that exist within your core, waiting to be released. And the simple matter is it doesn't work. You're weak. I don't know about Zangetsu, but I refuse to play horse to a king who's weaker than me. Someone whose uncertainty and hesitation will end up getting us both cut to pieces. If you aren't willing to assert your strength and retain the crown, then I'll destroy you. Which means I'll be king.
By constantly renewing my body, I will continue to exist for eternity. It is said that the phoenix is immortal. When it grows too old, it hurls itself into the fire, and from the flames it rises again anew. Understand now, that is immortality. That is perfection. It's not about transcending death, it's about incorporating death into the cycle of life. And a being whose existence cannot be interrupted by death, someone such as myself, who thrives in the endless cycle of demise and rebirth. That is what you would call a perfect being. The concept of mortality does not exist for me. Even if you did manage to smite me, I would simply rise again without a definitive end. Understand this. I cannot be killed. Even if you tried for all eternity, you could not defeat me.
I despise perfection. If something is truly perfect, that's it. The bottom line becomes, there is no room for imagination. No space for intelligence, or ability, or improvement. Do you understand? To men of science like us, perfection is a dead end, a condition of hopelessness. Always strive to be better than anything that came before you, but not perfect. Scientists agonize over the attempt to achieve perfection. That's the kind of creatures we are. We take joy in trying to exceed our grasp, in trying to reach for something that in the end, we have to admit, may in fact be unreachable. In other words, you may think that we operate on the same level, but you're wrong. The moment you started talking about perfection, you embraced an impossible concept and had already lost to